James White.
Fluke.
Good
How you
to
doing?
see you.
Yeah, you too, man. Great to be back on your show.
It's been a while.
Yeah, a year, eh? Calling Auckland.
About a year,
yeah. This time last year.
I like doing them in person.
Yeah, me too.
It's different.
Yeah.
We are on top of the world. This is Skyline in Queenstown.
Coming to you live from the Celebrational. Top of the mountain. Look at that view.
This is a surreal place.
Yeah, man.
It's like tapestry.
Yeah.
The colors. I've spent a week here just holidaying, and this was a great idea.
I love it. Play the game, see the world, man. That's what it's all about. And, we brought the Celebrational participants and guests down there, and we said, look, we're going to show you the best that our little island nation at the bottom of the world has to offer, and this is it. Straight out the window there. That's it. Best in New Zealand.
So most people probably don't know this. There's like 70 people here.
Yeah, 72 in the group.
Yeah, because I think people see the players and go, oh, there's like 12. But there's like, these guys flew in a lot of people. I saw distributors, printers, big customers. There's a lot. There's a big collector here.
Yeah. And, a lot of plus ones, a lot of, partners and
kids.
DM Amata came down with his dad,
That's cool, yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool just to see, people come down and enjoying New Zealand, playing some great flesh and blood, but seeing the best that New Zealand has to offer.
So I got a few questions. We're going to get kicked out in like a little while. Some of these are community questions, some are mine.
All good.
You're not wearing a polo.
Well, look, we've got a few days left in the weekend yet. I have packed one,
What brand of polo do you wear?
Only one brand, Ralph Lauren, the original, the OG polo.
This was probably one of the most asked questions, and I actually saw something, I think you actually addressed it before I got here. Japan local language.
Yeah.
How's that looking?
It's looking good. You're going to be seeing it in May. Next big booster set release, yeah.
So is that a calling, a pre-release? What's the goal?
Well, I don't want to spill all the beans, but we're pretty keen to have world premieres alongside the release of our big booster set releases this year. So obviously, Queenstown for heavy hitters, with the launch of localized Japanese language with the next booster set, more likely than not, the world premiere will be somewhere close to home for our Japanese fans.
I will be there. That's exciting.
You better, but you don't want to miss this one. It's going to be good. I'll be there too.
Obviously, people that have followed these interviews know that you have a background in Yu-Gi-Oh! Among other games.
Yeah.
Which parts of Fab had some inspiration from Yu-Gi-Oh?
If you're thinking about it mechanically, like, you could draw some parallels between setting traps and the arsenal. Like, there is a little bit of stuff going on there, with the way that sort of defense reactions in particular work from Arsenal was kind of trap-like. I would say that's not why the Arsenal was developed. The Arsenal was ultimately developed into their initial game design as a way to be able to craft hands and synergies. Otherwise you would just be at the mercy of the 4 random cards that you draw each turn, where the Arsenal actually lets you set a card and wait to pair it up with other cards that will come in future hand cycles. But you could certainly draw some parallels. Things like in Yu-Gi-Oh! You have your XE's summons, which have materials underneath them, and there's a little bit of parallels there between the dusts, which are literally had the material mechanic, and our dragons, where and more recently with the Evos and cards that go underneath other permanents that have relevancy. So there's bits and pieces like that. As far as product configuration goes, Yu-Gi-Oh! Has 24 count displays, and some of the rarity and mixing, has taken some inspiration from Yu-Gi-Oh! As well. There's a lot of really interesting things that Konami has done with Yu-Gi-Oh! Over the years, and we were really involved with their product, and we were really proud of what we did with Yu-Gi-Oh! In the 10 years that we represented their brand in New Zealand, and really nurtured a fantastic community across New Zealand and ran a lot of great events for Yu-Gi-Oh! So we're really proud of what we did with the game, and I think that each TCG has something special about it, and we try and take inspiration from all different parts of the gaming industry and the wider world as well. So yeah, I'm proud of our history with Yu-Gi-Oh! And what we did.
Will we ever see a white border cold foil?
I don't think so.
You hate them. White borders.
I want to say that I hate them. I think that they have an important place in the overall ecosystem of the game and collectability. I think the intention is that the black border cards are supposed to be sort of the creme de la creme, and I think that we want to just sort of preserve the cold foils as being sort of at the peak of that, and just keeping them on the black border cards. Yeah.
Fair. my friend German, he's actually Russian. His name's German. It's hard to explain. Yeah. He wanted to know, what tips would you give to someone who wants to win the next Worlds?
Just you got to practice a lot, man, and get some good people around you who are really, really good at playing Flesh and Blood, who are way better than you, play a lot of games, lose a lot, and learn.
There's again, one of the more popular questions on a more serious note is the bottom of the cards has changed.
Yeah.
I think that started in Bright Lights. The Evos were the first ones we saw.
Yeah.
What led to the change?
Okay. So the change proper comes with heavy hitters, right? And you can see that there's a bigger black border at the bottom of the card. So that's actually a manufacturing thing. Now that we're printing in so many different languages, currently, 5, with the Japanese being the 6th, the machines need these codes to make sure that the right languages are going into the right place. And you may or may not be aware, but there was actually an issue, I think it was with Dust Till Dawn, where the cold foils from the Italian print run went into the Spanish boosters, and the Spanish ones went into the Italian boosters, which was really not good. And having the language codes actually printed onto the cards is a manufacturing sort of requirement to prevent that, so that the machines can read that language code.
I think that this will one day help with sorting machines. When they
exactly.
Because I know that's an issue with Fab cards is it's clean, but there's limited info on the card face.
Exactly, yeah. We just need more space to print some of these, key information, particularly the language code, but it gives us more space to display the artists and the rarity badges and things like that. It's more functional rather than form. Like, if I'm being honest, I like the original design more, but it kind of gets to the point where sometimes you have to compromise in some areas just for a bigger reason.
As a singles vendor, seeing the language written is much quicker sorting than guessing the language in the European ones. I know the difference, but it's not always obvious on first glance.
Yeah, I think the new border still looks great. I think they're beautiful looking cards.
Oh, they're clean. Yeah. Shimmers of silver has not been printed in cold foil. Does it exist in cold foil?
I think it's common. It's in something. Yeah, I think it's and maybe upcoming judge pack or something. But I know it's on the planner. Yeah, we know. We're keeping track of those cold foil illusionist auras for sure.
The last time we spoke, we were talking about Everfest. Since we spoke last, I opened a single store. It's been this is at my 1 year anniversary of the single store.
Congratulations, man. Yeah, thank you so much.
Everfest is probably our biggest selling set.
Okay, a lot of good cards.
But we talked about Unlimited, and you said Marcus not ready.
Yep.
We've got it, but it's not coming.
Yeah.
Any update on that?
Yeah. Well, it's never coming, actually. So I'm glad that you asked me, because you asked me the same question exactly a year ago at the Call in Auckland. And, like you say, I said that the market wasn't ready for it. I don't think the market ever needs it. And the entire print run was actually destroyed about half a year ago. So the world will never see Everfest Unlimited. Although, fun fact, there are 11 cases in existence. There is 10 cases that we kept at LSS, and we'll do something fun with them in the future, maybe prize wall or some special feature or giveaway promotion. One case randomly by accident got shipped out to a store in the middle of New Zealand about a year ago. They had ordered Everfest, first edition obviously, and our warehouse accidentally shipped out one case of Unlimited, and the store was annoyed, as you would expect. So there's somewhere in the middle of the North Island, there is one case of Everfest Unlimited that is in circulation, probably in the rubbish.
There's a photo of that. That's how people know it exists.
Yeah,
There's a photo of an Everfest booster with Unlimited on it.
Yeah,
That's actually not what I expected your answer to be. Guys, if you don't own a box of Everfest First Ed, now you know it's very limited.
It is, yeah.
Whatever the print run is, it's not that accessible that won't run out, because it's so evergreen, what the cards in it.
Yeah, it has a lot of great cards in it, the Swing Bigs, the Glooming Swarm Veils, there's just a lot of good cards. Mirage and Metamorph,
all the blue auras.
Yeah,
even Stavo for LL. If you want the bling version, you got to get it in that.
Yeah, a ton of great cards in it. But this is just reflective of LSS's position towards how we manage our supply chain. A lot of publishers, they print and then they dump all of the volume into the distributors that then have to digest it. And if it's slow moving or problematic, it just gets discounted and the channels get stuffed. Or some publishers are well known for doing Amazon dumps, for example. Yes. LSS really does try to take a responsible approach to the market. We want our distributors to only order into the demand that exists at the retail level. We don't force distributors to take any specific quantity. And we're the ones who actually take that inventory holding risk. We sit on that inventory in our warehouse and we ship it off to get shredded when the market doesn't need it. So Everfest is one such example, but it's not the only example. Other boosters as well have been sent to the shredders to be recycled when the market doesn't need it. And that's our way of respecting the secondary market and trying to be responsible. We think that that's a real big point of difference with the way that LSS actually thinks about this, for the long term, because for us it's all about creating something that can stand the test of time. And we want people to feel really proud to own Flesh and Blood cards, whether it's Everfest or whether it's Dynasty, Uprising, whatever it is. Eventually Monarch, the time will come where it's many years into the future and Monarch will be this really old special thing as well. That's something that we do quite differently with LSS compared to other publishers, where we actually, we have 5 warehouses around the world, one in Chicago, Amsterdam, Tokyo, Taipei, and Auckland, and we hold that inventory there, and we only release it into the market as the distributors need it, and that's based on the demand that's coming through from the retailers.
I'll be brief on this because I think this was addressed maybe by Brian Gottlieb, but Majestic slot heroes seem like a new thing. There's a bit of negativity towards it. Can you explain, if that's even in your warehouse, as to why heroes have gone from mostly tokens to now Majestic?
Yeah, so I would say that it's nothing new, right? We've been doing high rarity heroes since Crucible of War, with Shiana, and you've seen other heroes over time as well feature at the Majestic and higher slot. So it's nothing new. For the adult heroes, I just think that they're deserving of it. It's not a big ask to spend between $2 and $5 to buy one of these Majestic heroes. They are widely available. You have them on your website. They're available in most marketplaces, and any store that is offering singles to their players, will have them available. If you're just playing on the kitchen table and you really don't want to put that order in, you can play with a placeholder. And I don't think it's a big ask to make that $2 or $5 spend to buy a hero. Even a top tier tournament caliber hero, they sell at about $5, right? So Prism Awakener or Soul or whatever. And I think that those adult heroes so the reason that the heroes are tokens in these standalone boosters is to support limited play. So when you're playing sealed deck or your pre-release or booster drafts or whatever, those token heroes go into the community pot, and you can find your weapons and you can find your spectral shields and your whatever, your tokens, including your hero to play the game in that format. But when it comes to actually building a constructed deck, I think that the adult heroes are deserving of the Majestic tag. And that's very much the reasoning behind it. I want people to feel a little bit excited when they open the adult hero, to be honest. And just having a small amount of scarcity behind it, I think helps to lean into having that moment of, I opened my hero, that felt good.
This set has, speaking of heavy hitters, for people watching in the far future, has Marvel heroes. The second I realized there are Marvel heroes in a set, I doubled our order for singles.
Nice.
Because people always want the hero card, which will probably reduce the cost of the Majestic non-foil ones. Marvel heroes are you open the hero you want to play, or potentially open your first Marvel. It happens to be Betsy. You might just become a Betsy main.
Maybe.
Specializations used to have the specific talent borders. I think an example is Supremacy has a Solana border. Now they've changed.
Yes.
Is that a on purpose change?
Yeah, they changed for Monarch though, right? So it's a long time ago, and it was intentional. So the specializations, and now they have the border of that hero's class, right? So if it's a warrior specialization, it'll have a warrior frame on it, Raise an Army, for example. The reason why we did it differently for those first 3 booster sets is we wanted to showcase the region frames more than just on the hero cards, because they're beautiful, right? But we always had the intention that those region frames would be related to the talent from that region. As we saw with Monarch when we introduced the light talent, then you saw that beautiful Baroque Solana frame on the light cards. But on that early phase, Welcome to Wraith, Arcane Rising, and Crucible, we wanted to express the region identity at that time, so that there was more than just the hero card itself with that region frame, if that makes sense, and really try and build that identity of Dorinthia is a hero from Solana, and her specializations are really more explicitly connected to her being a Solanian warrior, if that makes sense. It's just an asset,
Speaking of borders, it's just a statement, not a question. I think MJ's work is the most understated but best part of Fab.
Well, thank you.
Because the borders, sorting cards, it's actually a trick if you sort cards in bulk, which I now sort of do for a living part-time.
Yeah.
You can go purely off border and sort a set.
Yeah.
More or less, because generic, without looking at the card art, you can teach someone to just look at the borders.
Yep.
Which is great. But they're actually very detailed. If you look into the border art, they're understated, but when you pay attention to them, it's some of the best art in the game is the different region borders, the little attention to detail.
Yeah.
And the symmetry, obviously, it's like the border of the...
Yeah. Well, thank you. You know, that'll mean a lot to MJ. And yeah, she puts a lot of work into the borders. You know, a lot of love and passion and time goes into those borders and trying to craft the unique identity and look and feel for each of the regions and the classes and talents. So, yeah, thank you for that.
This next question, I'm not sure if it's true, but someone said they think there was an original name for Flesh and Blood that changed.
Yes.
What was it?
Deathmatch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is Heavy Hitters a throwback to that?
A little bit, yes. Yeah. I mean, Heavy Hitters in a lot of ways, it is like kind of going back to OG. You know, OG, it's got 3 of the classes that featured in Welcome to Wraith, and it's, all good old-fashioned smash 'em and bash 'em melee combat. So, yeah, very, very old school in its design intent. And, yeah, Deathmatch was the working name for Flesh and Blood for most of its lifetime until one day, deep in that Shavasana moment in my yoga class, it came to me that Flesh and Blood was the name that it would be. But yeah, Deathmatch, there you go.
That's very cool.
Yeah, but Deathmatch Arena will be something that will that you'll see a bit going forward in time. Like it's iconic, and yeah, the name still holds some fondness for me.
Is it an original Deathmatch logo that exists anywhere?
Maybe in the deep archives.
That would be cool to see. Can you give us some quick summary of a hero that you've designed that you've scrapped completely?
Yeah. So this is an interesting story. Like Heavy Hitters, Olympia actually is a hero that ended up being because of a journey that didn't work out for that second warrior slot in Heavy Hitters. So we had a hero called Snyder, and he was based around this mechanic called Provoke, which was, he's like kind of always looking for a fight, looking to pick a fight, and kind of his shtick was, he was like insulting, rude, like a real prick, in a different way than Victor Goldmane though. The sort of guy that would go to the pub and get boozed up and then just like say things to cause a fight to break out. That sort of vibe. And yeah, he had a mechanic called Provoke that we were pretty excited about because it really forced that point of engagement or interaction that warriors are looking for. They really excel when they're engaged on the combat chain, and you see it with like Reprise, and you see it in Heavy Hitters with a lot of the cards that pay you off if they're defended by an attack action card. We put a huge amount of work into this hero Snyder, and the play experience just it proved to be very negative when decks were refined in CC. It just created the kind of play patterns that the team are pretty anti at this level of stage in our journey. So we had to scrap him quite a long way through the pipeline, and we actually explored a second option, a hero called Bookie, and he was like all about gambling, like even more like Olympia is the prize fighter, right? He goes into the arena and he is looking for glory and gold, and he's essentially a professional gladiator, and he wins gold by winning in the arena, whereas the predecessor to Olympia in between Snyder and Olympia, this hero called Bookie, was all about wagering and building a big chip stack, and if you again like leaning on wager as the mechanic, but yeah, if you could build sort of like build a chip stack that was a certain threshold, you sort of got some payoffs, and there were other bits and pieces that really leaned into a lot of the gambling tropes, and you see a lot of those tropes still exist in the product as well. Coming full circle, we ended up settling on the prize fighter theme for that second warrior, and Olympia is what came out the other side. But one thing I wanted to say about Olympia is we have big plans for him. It might be not quite so obvious with Heavy Hitters, like what he is supposed to ultimately be doing. Like he's really, really good at winning lots of gold. Where's your gold payoff? Like it's very obvious what Kasai does with her gold. She raises an army with it. What are you supposed to do with Olympia's chip stack or gold pile? You won't have to wait too long to find out. It's not in Heavy Hitters, but it's coming real soon.
Amazing. I'm excited for these product releases that aren't products, like round the table.
Yeah.
Like not a booster product,
Yeah.
It's exciting. people ask about print size numbers, and I personally actually have very little interest in print runs because I don't think it's in a vacuum. A print run means nothing. It's very relative to the amount of players, draft or not draft.
Exactly.
To me, I've always just shrugged them off. But a lot of people did ask. So can you comment on print run sizes, and are there any planned changes if you don't give specifics in 2024?
Yeah, I mean, coming off the lofty highs of the COVID era when, everyone was, there was just a lot of activity in that sort of collector investor space, not just for Flesh and Blood, but across the entire category and adjacent categories as well. The times have changed, and we all need to adjust to that. So yeah, print runs came down drastically from that era. The Monarch Tales Everfest era. I mean, as I've just spoken to, we literally have shredded, sent to the recyclers the entire Everfest Unlimited print run because it just wasn't needed in the end. So yeah, there was a big come down from that era through to the Fab 2.0, uprising and onwards. And look, we're always keeping an eye on market demands and things like that, and also our product release cadence as well, which you'll see change quite a bit in 2024. We have a lot more products coming out. There's still the same amount of standalone booster sets, so it's still the big 3 booster sets this year, which is February for heavy hitters. We have May for the second big booster, and then September for the third big booster of the year. But there's going to be a lot more smaller products in between those windows, and that allows us to sort of change our approach to print run sizing as well. But yeah, I think that you're going to see a recalibration between or essentially supply and demand, if we're being frank about it. And I think we're always watching and making adjustments as needed.
XP got changed.
Yep.
And what it relates to or what it earns you.
Yep.
There's been, top national XP would get a gold foil in the mail. I'm pretty sure most countries are covered these days.
Yeah.
That hit the first. Taiwan had a cool thing with 100 XP. I think you got a promo in the mail. Do you have plans for how XP will be used in the future? Yeah,
absolutely. So, I mean, Celebrational was one such example of how we've used XP to invite people to this very special event. So, you'll definitely see more things like that with use of XP in the future. There are still some national championships around the world which are inviting people via XP for some of our newer markets that haven't had a chance to, to build ELO ratings to this point in time. And look, I'm sure our team will come up with a lot of cool, fun ways to recognize the people who have, accumulated XP, over the years, and it's still an important factor. It's just the reason why we have moved XP away from being a qualification pathway to the Pro Tour is to try and craft a different sort of culture that exists at the Armory level. A lot of feedback from across the world. The Armories became very, very competitive when people, when XP was that important because it was getting you to the Pro Tour. And we want that in-store Armory experience to be not quite so cutthroat. So that's the reasoning why we have made that change for XP.
I got some rapid fires for you,
Yep.
and then we might end up with a longer question at the end.
Okay.
You know who Breezy is. Shout out to Breezy.
Yeah.
Can he collab on the Viscerai lore?
That's a question for Robbie.
Robbie, let us know. What's your shoe size was one question.
Oh, about 9.5.
There you go. I don't think that's why they asked, but... Tony
on the
Hawk,
larger end of the scale, mate.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater, street or vert?
Definitely street. Love the openness to be creative.
Dash.io, is that actually adult data doll?
That was the intention. Yeah, but our team did not want microprocessor to be part of CC, so
That's
we came
probably
up.
smart.
So the interesting thing was that for Bright Lights, we were intending for Dash to be a standalone hero, like maybe a Majestic or maybe even a legendary hero in it, because we couldn't go back to metrics and not have Dash in the product. But the intention was it was going to be Max Nitro, the Tekla and Data Doll as the 3 draftable heroes, and then Dash was going to be like the this chase CC only hero, kind of a Shiana type hero. But then as we started to develop it, and the team was like, if we're going to bring Data Doll into CC, we're going to have to preemptively ban microprocessor because that card is like a massive problem. And we kind of got to the point where it's like, actually, there's something really interesting that we can do with the storytelling. We'd already been talking about this of, the basically Dash sort of uploading Data Doll into her rig, and that Data Doll's sort of AI presence becoming part of Dash, and kind of like a rescuing story arc of, Data Doll was like, she's an AI, right? And she is under threat, and Dash kind of like, saves her and sort of makes her one with herself to carry her forward. So we're like, well, actually, why don't we just make the third draftable hero, well, internally we call her Data Dash, and bring her in. And you can see Data Doll on the symbiosis shot, right? And the symbiotic relationship here is that Data Doll is like one with Dash. And so that's sort of how it came about. So yes, to answer your question, Dash.io in many ways is Data Doll.
Speaking of Shiana, adult Shiana, is that a plan?
Maybe. I know she's a lot of love around the world, and that's a very special hero to me. So, and she's been quite an important part of the story as well, the War of the Monarch story. We saw her be the feature of that voyage into Volcor to try and win support in the fight against the Shadow Hordes, and she has an important role to play. I'm sure we'll do something special with Shiana. She isn't on the current pipeline, but she's certainly always in our minds of where is the right place to do more with her.
I'm going to answer this one for you because it got spoiled today.
Easy.
Any plans to bring back the original non-foil EA promos? They're in the pre-cons.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Thank you. Yeah.
Now there's a rare collectible.
Yeah.
Some people, pro players, prefer them.
Yeah.
If they're going to bling out their deck, they still, a lot of times, won't put a rainbow foil in it.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. Thank you.
To see those.
I think that we got the blitz decks right this time. Rainbow foil heroes, it's the only place that you will be able to get the rainbow foil young heroes. They have the EAs, and the EAs are they span all three colors of whatever that card is, and the card that has been chosen is something which is highly playable, like the Agile Windup, for example. Like especially the blues and the yellows of that card are like big hitting tournament cards. The KO definitely loves the blues, and the yellows are very good for Rhino, very good for Levia. There's good cards. Those EAs are good cards, and we know that people will want to play and own them. And those blitz decks also have a lot more rares than any blitz deck that we've ever made before. It's also the feedback that I've seen from people who've been playing with them at the Celebrational and kind of saw some of the games on stream. I think the feedback's pretty upbeat about those blitz decks, and go and pick them up. They'll be available in the stores from pre-release weekend.
Second last question. LSS and Grinding Gear Games collaboration when?
Well, I'm good friends with Chris Wilson. We've been, friends for 25 years, playing Magic together, a lot of vintage, and he doesn't live too far from me. He's just down the road, a couple minutes drive from me. So we do catch up and hang out from time to time. But he's a busy man, and he's very focused on what they're doing with Path of Exile. But who knows? By the way, he is a big Flesh of Blade collector.
Really?
Yeah.
That's something I didn't
from
know.
WTR. He's just low key, man. You just don't hear from him, but he's
been on Alpha Investments, I believe. He has a very cool Magic, like oddities, misprints and oddities collection.
Huge collector.
Probably the best in the world.
Probably
for that. Yeah. Go check that video. I can try and link it below. It's a very old Rudy video.
Yeah, a few years
and
ago.
I never tied it together that's Chris Wilson from Grinding Gears till later.
Yeah.
Like, wait. And the accent, that's what gets you. I lied. That wasn't the second last question. No, it is. Look, actually, this is a quick one. Deathmatch Arena, where is it physically located in Wraith?
Yeah, it is on the border of Savage Lands, Solana, and Volcor, down in that sort of southern, what is it, slightly west in that pocket. Well, yeah, it's south of Solana and on the fringe of Savage Lands and Volcor.
This is the last question. What are your biggest fears and challenges 5 to 10 years from now for LSS?
Yeah, that's a great question. It is about making sure that we retain great people, to be honest. Like at the end of the day, the great products and the great programs, the events that we run, it's all about the people behind the scenes. So, we're very mindful about, bringing great people into the organization. We need to make sure that we preserve, a really positive culture in the studio, and we put a lot of effort into that. You'll see a lot of LSS team down in Queenstown with us, with the celebration. And in fact, we had an LSS team as part of the Celebrational event itself. And that was a cross-section of the studio, just like we had the Celebrational participants being a cross-section of the community. You know, there were some, top XP players, content creators, judges, store owners, ambassadors, all kinds of different people were participating in the celebration. And the same for Team LSS. There were, 6 guys. Some of them were devs. We had the head of HR. We had account managers. We had someone from the events team. These guys are like super, super casual fab players. But, it's really important that we recognize that there's a lot of different people in the studio, and they come from many different, different backgrounds and different, talents and skill sets. But, they're all really passionate about creating wonderful experiences, for the fans around the world, whether that's, playing with the product, on the kitchen table in people's homes, whether it's in the local game stores, or whether it's at these big marquee events that we do. So for me, I think that's the biggest challenge. I wouldn't say I don't have fears. You can't live your life in fear. There's all kinds of, there's certainly challenges, but you've got to have some courage and some bravery and some self-belief and some great people around you to help you overcome those challenges. So that's what I focus on, is just making sure that the people behind LSS stay really passionate about what we're doing, and that will see us well into the future and see us stand the test of time.
James, thanks for your time as always.
Yeah, thank you, Fluke.
I've run out of questions. Floor is yours. You have any shout-outs, announcements, spoilers?
Look, we still got more spoilers to run this weekend. We've got some box breaks. I know you're going to be doing one of them, so definitely check in for that. Want to thank yourself for being a fantastic content creator and supporter, ambassador, especially in this part of the world, in Oceania. You're very much the voice of the Oceania community when it comes to the high-profile content creator sphere, and I really appreciate your work in launching the Fluke & Box online store, the single store. It's really important that people have access to the single cards that they need to make their tournament decks, or even play at home in casual play. So if you haven't checked it out already, do support Fluke & Blocks. He's doing a great service to Oceania and Asia Pacific region with the single cards. So thank you very much, and thank you to all other content creators all across Oceania and around the world. It's a team effort. We value all of your different contributions. That's very much what the celebration was about, was recognizing there's lots of different ways that people contribute to what is the global Fish and Blood community, and they're all important, and we really do appreciate it.
Thank you, James.
Yeah, thank you, Fluke. Thank you, mate.